Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Old Reader, New Reader as we finish our review of this big, chunky omnibus that I finally have gotten to read after it's been sitting on my shelf, basically a glorified paperweight for about like a year or so. So as usual, and not so usual, we have the new reader, me, Maddie, and our old reader, Omar.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight?
Some of you may have seen our social media and maybe noticing right now that Amanda is not here. If you haven't seen our updates, our social media, she has chosen to step down from the channel and go back to the life of a geeky civilian, just to focus more on herself and her family. So, of course, we were like, no problem. We honor that. And we're here if you ever want to come back. So, from now on, it will be me and Omar here at Old Reader, New Reader, and potentially open up for guests. We'll just see. Depends on the book or whatever else. So,
Yeah,
if you still like hanging out with us,
so it is. I guess we did a lot of things together. We did a lot, and she's family. She's my cousin, so I I get to see her. But I am going to miss her on this show because it's just she was a force of nature, and I don't think we'll have a replacement because I don't think there is a replacing anybody like her. So for now, we will just stick it to just Maddie and I, and like Maddie suggested, have some guests from time to time, and go from there. But yes, we will miss her. So, Infinite Crisis. By the way, this book has been printed not only one time. It was a huge whale at one time. Went for $500 on eBay. It is now on its second printing. Now, Maddie.
ooh, let's compare.
Yes.
My desk jacket's the same as yours, but on the inside, I have this really nice art.
Yeah, rub it in. Rub it in. I have this bland black, but it does say Infinite Crisis
That's
right
true.
there. That's really it. And your binding is a lot better. How's it going, Ray? How's everybody doing? Thank you for joining us. Um, so, if you are not familiar with Old Reader, New Reader, we are going to talk about spoilers. So if you have not read this book, maybe choose to watch this after you read it.
And luckily, so much happens in this book that if you haven't read it yet, but you're interested in reading it, I think, like, honestly, even if you jump into it after having watched this show, I still think it's full of surprises. I mean, this is one of those things that's like, it's jam-packed. It's jam-packed with characters. Like, this is such a crazy event and crossover. It's so awesome. Honestly, like, we're not doing a synopsis of this because, there's a lot to talk about in here. But this is crazy. Like, honestly, reading this made me so sad that we don't have big crossovers like this with the DC as far as in, like, movies or cartoons or anything, it bums me out. Because this is so crazy. Although this kind of event, like, this is like, end game level, because you need so much of these, like, leading up series just to prepare you for everything that goes on here. And I'm so glad that we read what we read the last show, because honestly, there's so much. So Omar, how was it for you reading it again? I'm sure it's not the last time. Also, you're on mute.
Also, I am on mute. Yes, thank you. Uh, this is my fourth time reading it, and it's so awesome, so much better each time I read it. So every little bit of things that I've been leading up for 2 years now has led to the moment in the opening pages of Infinite Crisis, which kicks off with our trio, right? Like, you have the holy trinity of the DC universe: Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, fighting with each other, not trusting each other. Batman calling out one of the best deliveries of any
Oh
line
God, it's so
is
good.
we need hope. We need you to inspire people, Superman. And let's face it, the last time you inspired anybody was when you were dead. And you're like, damn, Batman, that's some cold ass shit. And Batman's like, well, he's not wrong, but that's still cold. and and Wonder Woman, who is now a murderer because what she did to Maxwell Lord, but she didn't have a
Mhm.
choice because she had to do that in order to save Superman.
Yeah.
And Batman's like, no, we always have choices. We can do this. And he's you start to see how Wonder Woman's thinking. Like, not everything is black and white. There's a gray area, and it's just wonderful. Oh shit! And then
There's so much good dialogue between the three of them. Like, at one point they're talking to Diana or talking to Wonder Woman. They're like, "Well, who are you right now? Like, what are you? You used to say you were Diana. Now you're
right,
just saying you're Wonder Woman."
right.
And he says, like, I am who I need to be, and right now I need to be Wonder Woman. Like, Diana needs to be put to the side. I need to be what the world needs me to be, and you all need to realize that I'm doing what's best for everyone.
S- Uh, right, and then you get a bunch of the Freedom Force, like the Freedom Fighters, end up getting killed, like
Mhm.
by the villains. The Villains United, Secret Society of Villains, rather. And then all the outcomes of all the little miniseries, like you got the Spectre running around with no host, and like I said, all the Villains United finally, pull their ace up their sleeve and go after all these characters. Meanwhile, they really don't know what they're doing. They're all being manipulated by this outside force, right? And we don't
Right.
know who it is yet. At the very, very end of issue 1 is when you're like, okay, somebody's like watching these guys, right? Somebody is like, obviously, with these little monitors or like what looks like glass, almost like a Fortress of Solitude. You're like, who is watching all the characters, all these heroes? And bam, they're like, the world's been too corrupt. We need to come back. We made a mistake. And then you have the characters that were stranded or actually chose to sacrifice themselves at the end of Crisis, the original Crisis on Infinite Earths, come back.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, holy shit, we made a mistake. This world is too corrupt. This is not the Earth that we sacrificed ourselves for. So then you have a reunion between Superman of Earth 2, which is the Golden Age Superman, of course, and then Power Girl, who turns out to be his cousin from Earth 2. So as soon as she touches Lois, and she gets all her memories back, and that is so cool because she starts remembering what's her name, Helena, which is Batman and Catwoman's daughter, and Batman from Earth 2 is dead. So Superman's trying to like recruit Superman from Earth 2 is trying to recruit Batman to help him. He's like, the world needs Batman and Superman, so we should work together again. And Batman, oh, he's such a badass because he was like, he's making him believe that the world's corrupt. Like Superman's like, look at all these things that you've done. Look what Wonder Woman has done. Going back to post-crisis, like the death of Jason
Mm-hmm.
Todd, the Artemis becoming Wonder Woman. But then Bruce is like, okay, so you say our world is corrupt, like everything is so much better in your world. And he says something along the lines of like, is your Dick Grayson better off than my Dick Grayson? And that's what changes his mind. He was like, no, it's not worth it.
Right.
Oh,
He's not going to sacrifice for just. I mean, he's got good people, and
right.
Batman's not one to look at that picture and be like, okay, well, you have more good people than we have good people, so I'm going to let our good people go. Like, and it's always really interesting. It was interesting reading that part because I was like, what is with this Superman? Like, this Superman is not my Superman at all. Like, I was getting upset at him. And then I realized, he's been gone for so long. And when you have someone like Alexander Luthor, that's all, there's no person that's with you, like between him and Lois. And, Luthor's been likely just kind of pouring these thoughts into his mind for
Oh, right.
years and years and years of solitude. Naturally, he's come to believe these things, and that's why he's so convincing to Batman and everyone else. But, ooh,
But
it was hard. It was hard.
the whole reasoning is because his Lois is dying. So
Yeah.
the original Lois Lane is dying, and Luthor or Lex Alexander is like, well, there's only one way to save her, right? We have to get a new Earth, and it's got to be this one. We'll take over this Earth, and we'll make it our Earth. Oh no, he wants to bring Earth 2 back, or he tricks him into thinking that's what he wants.
Yeah.
Because as you come to find out, the guy that's been leading the secret society, the guy that has been posing as this world's Lex Luthor, has been Alexander Luthor the entire time. And he's building this huge tower. And who he's got in his pockets is even more powerful than Superman from the Golden Age. It's Superboy Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this about Superboy Prime. I know he gets he's one of those characters that's love or hate, right? A lot of people can't stand him. A lot of people love him. I love characters like that. You have an overpowered pussy boy like that. Oh my god, that makes for such an awesome villain to me. Like somebody that can't control how powerful they are, and they're whiny little brats. And to me, they make like some of the best villains in either anime, video games, or I think that's why I liked what's his face for a while, Kylo Ren in the first movie.
Mhm.
Like just a whiny little brat because like he had no idea how powerful he was. Like, and you can tell when he was fighting the Teen Titans, right?
Yeah.
I love that scene. Like he's just like he backhands somebody and he
Oh, and then
cuts
just
him in half.
man.
Uh, what's her name? Not Tigra. What a Panthera. What the hell's her name? I can't remember. One of the Titans.
Oh, I don't
You know,
know.
he knocks her head off, like on complete
Yeah.
accident. Cuts like people in half. Freezes people. Oh man, it's such an awesome issue with wonderful art by Phil Jimenez, of course.
And he's so good too, just in contrast to, Earth, the other Earth Superboy, to Connor, because Connor, is somebody. If you, for those of you who've read Jeff Johns' Teen Titans, Connor is not perfect. He's very much just
Oh,
like a teen, an abandoned teen with daddy issues, basically. Multiple daddy issues if you count both his two dads.
both
And
right. He's got Lex Luthor's DNA, and that's why Alexander's like, no, he's not Superboy. You're
yeah,
Superboy. So it's
right.
easy to manipulate him.
Well, just seeing this too, because you have Superboy Prime, who's this clean cut. He looks like he should be the sidekick to Superman. He's very clean cut. He's very handsome. He's got all the powers. And then you have Connor, who curses, wears a T-shirt, and just lives his own life, and is usually not really a fan of Superman or Lex Luthor or anybody. And it's just neat to see the two different ones, because then you have Superboy Prime, who's so full of himself and believes that his cause is so right. And you have Connor, who just wants to take a damn break. He's been through a lot. He's been manipulated. And in the past year, he's been turned into a weapon against his friends.
And
He
right
wants a break.
during this time, he is also taking a break with Ma and Pa Kent because of everything that's happened with the outsider insider storyline. And then you have Superboy that comes in and he's like, no, I'm the real Superboy, you're not him.
Yeah, I'm
And
supposed
then
to have that life, not you.
and then this is the panel I was talking about when I said somebody ends up finding the scarab from
Yeah.
Ted. Right, loved it. Now, one of my favorite little issues that's kind of sad and cool is I think it happens later on. It's the Secret Files issue, and it's collected in the omnibus, and I think they put it in the perfect spot. It's where Superboy or Superman from Earth 2, Golden Age Superman, is flying around, and they broke through the wall and they're coming through this Earth. And it's actually Ted Cord that sees him. So you go back to that scene in Countdown, the Countdown one shot, where you're like, oh, Superman's such a dick. He's totally ignoring Ted. But it wasn't our Superman at all. It was Superman from Earth 2 that had just broken through with everybody else. So I thought that was a really cool nod.
Yeah.
So then oh God,
there's so much to talk about in here. It's crazy.
Yeah, just these wonderful scenes. If you haven't read this, if you don't care about spoilers, this is one of my favorite. This is what I was talking about. When Superboy Prime just fucking loses it and just starts tearing the shit out of the Teen Titans. Of course, I don't think Wildebeest is anybody's favorite, but
well, man, this is the most gruesome, gory DC book I've read. I don't want to say ever, but it feels like ever. This feels like manga or 90s anime level of gore, and the way it's done,
the way that
he just punches through faces. I feel like I'm reading Irredeemable. That's what it feels like,
right?
And then just blood everywhere.
It's a good description.
Yes.
So the only way to get him out of there is for the entire Speed Force to be taken somewhere else. And I love that Wally is leaving, right? Because and then Linda's like, you're always leaving. Where are you going now? And he's like, I don't know, but I love you. And she's like, bullshit. You're taking your whole family with you this time. So she jumps into the Speed Force with them.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so awesome. And then Wally doesn't come back. Bart comes back. Bart becomes the new Flash.
So is this the last point we see Wally until Rebirth?
No.
Okay.
Wally comes back when, spoilers, Bart dies.
Okay.
When he gets killed by the Rogues, Wally comes back and then has about a year of his own series again, written by Mark Waid. and then Flashpoint happens, and then Barry Allen happens. Wally's still around at that time.
Okay. Okay.
What else? What else? Because there's so much. And then you have the sacrifice of Jade, or what? What? Hold on, just a sec. Let me find this page. So Jade ends up sacrificing herself, and Kyle ends up becoming Ion again. So all the Green Lantern Force goes back into him. That was really cool and very crucial. And you find out that the hands that we talked about in the Ranthanagar War, moving the two planets together that started in Planet Heist, turned out to be Alexander Luthor because he's putting all his chess pieces together. Quick shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be talking to you guys here in a minute once we finish this out. God, it's just this is my DC event. This is my absolute favorite DC event. I mean, spoilers. Yes, this is always a 10 out of 10 for me. Man, and then you have the sad, wonderful, beautiful death of Lois, where, you know, when he's talking about his wife, how in the end, you know, she was the most wonderful human that he's ever met. But not only that, but on the inside, she was more super than he could ever be. And I was like, fuck you, Golden Age Superman, making me eye sweat come out. But I thought it was really beautifully written. And then she dies, and she's like, you know, this isn't the end, as he's holding her, and he screams, and that's when Superman, our Superman, comes in, and he's like, hey, I heard you scream. Like, you said Lois, right? And then they start fighting, and then there's this just, oh, where's that imagery? Just this awesome imagery, a throwback to, of course, action comics, so where he just picks up the car, and he's like, it's your fault, you did this.
And they go back and forth for a while.
This. Yeah, well, even if you were reading Superman at the time in Action Comics, this panel right here, these 2 pages are like 4 issues of them fighting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but God, such an awesome fight. And then you have the Golden Age Diana, Wonder Woman, talk to our Wonder Woman, right? About what Superman needs to be reminded of, that everybody makes mistakes. Even him. Oh, man. So much awesome. And then you have the tower. We find out what Alexander was trying to do. And it's this giant tower that's made out of the Anti-Monitor's body, right?
Yeah.
So, and then Superboy Prime comes back from the future because Wally's like, we couldn't contain him. He's back. And he's wearing like the Anti-Monitor armor. Oh, my God. So this dude, you know how much of a badass he is, and now he's souped up. So you're like, oh shit, I can't wait for the next issue. And I want to say, and somebody can correct me in the chat, but issue 6 was delayed. And everybody's like, well, come on, DC, you got to pump it out. That's why Phil Jimenez was joined by Jerry Ordway and Ivan Reyes and George Perez as pencilers. That's why you have 4 different pencilers as of like issue 5.
Oh, real quick, Leighton mentioned that really great quote. From Superman, that's because he was saying that my Earth is our Earth was perfect, blah blah blah, and then he said, if your Earth was so perfect, why did it need a Superman? And that was a fantastic line, because if the Earth was so perfect, Superman wouldn't have to be Superman; he could just be Clark Kent.
Yeah,
and that was the line that got him there. I thought that was perfect.
Well, and that's what made him snap, right? Golden Age, Earth 2 Superman. I keep calling him Golden Age, but really, that's who he is. Yeah, Earth 2 Superman made him snap and realize, you're right. A perfect Earth would need me. So he realizes who the villain that's been manipulating him and everybody is. So Sledge, really quick. Sorry, I was just now looking at the chat. They were supposed. Dan Didio wanted Nightwing to die. So that scene, that wonderful, well-penciled scene in issue 1 with all the OMAC. Like everybody knew, that was on forums, and everybody that was on the internet knew that Dan Didio wanted Nightwing to die. So when you see that scene with all the OMACs and he's on top of the roof by himself, you're like, motherfuckers, they're gonna kill him off like this. But at least he's gonna go out like a man and not a punk. Let me find it, because it's such a badass scene. Like probably one of my favorite. Like, just look at all that. All the OMACs there. Yeah, that's awesome. And Dick Grayson just being the man that he is. Forever Dick. Hashtag.
I'd love to see the OMACs in a movie. Or like,
oh, right. Yeah.
because this is terrifying and so cool. They're so cool to see. I think they're such an interesting group of villains. I think the Brother Eye story is so interesting. That could be done so well.
And I think that's where a lot of the issues came with Wonder Woman, right? She's like, Artemis is asking her, like, what are we gonna do? We can't kill them, right? And she's like, I don't know. That's when she started like losing hope before she ran up with the Earth 2 Wonder Woman. But I love that. And then you have Superboy, our Superboy Connor. Just he knows what he has to do. He has to take down the tower. And oh my god, and that was so heartbreaking.
This is right around the same time that was it who was talking to Batman, or was it just maybe it was Alexander? I don't remember who, but somebody was talking to Batman about that scene and was like, or maybe it was Brother Eye, Brother Eye talking to Batman, saying, you know, aren't you worried about Nightwing's just a human? What's he gonna do against Superboy Prime? Like, what's he gonna do?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not describing it well, but the scene when I read it felt very poignant. I could just feel how. I don't know. This is why, like, I like when Batman's written this way. I feel like they understood how Batman's supposed to be, just a really caring family man when it comes down to it. And people miss that when they write Batman a lot.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Everybody likes to write him really dark and broody, but he's a lot more than that. He's a really complex character. And I love the way that Jeff Johns, like, I swear to God, he's a walking encyclopedia, right? I know maybe some people did not like his treatment of Golden Age Superman or Superboy Prime, even though we really didn't get to know him. But I love the way that he just knows all these characters, including the complexity of Black Adam. So Black Adam's a villain, right? But then you see him do a few things, like when somebody's fucking with him, like he goes after Psycho Pirate. And oh my god, I love this.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Psycho Pirate takes him out like a punk.
And everyone around is just like, I mean, I guess we didn't have to do this, but we don't have time to deal with it, so it's
right,
fine.
Right, because you got bigger issues. The damn world's about to crumble. We have this giant freaking tower made of the Anti-Monitor, the guy that took out, you know, multiple planets or multiple Earths. And then my boy Connor makes the ultimate sacrifice, you know, takes down Superboy Prime, tower gets knocked down, Alexander Luthor's crying like a whiny little brat. And man, just it was so heartbreaking because I loved Teen Titans. Like, Teen Titans was one of my favorite series. We had no idea what 1 year later was going to be about. They started releasing early covers of the new Teen Titans team. So all you saw was Robin with a new outfit. Badass, by the way. Love that outfit. Tim Drake's outfit. And then everybody else was shadowed in. So you had no idea who was going to be left on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they started advertising them. Kind of like the way Marvel and DC does things now when the new teams announce. But man, just like Cassie holding him. And she's like, you saved everybody. You saved the Earth. And his last words are like, I know, isn't it cool? Man. And he looks
when he's done well.
He looked rough too. Like, his hand is missing. He looked like a damn train just hit him. So now that's I love the omnibus because it contains everything, and I would be bitching if it didn't contain this, but I wish that. And I love when things are supposed to be read in chronological order, but it slowed down the pacing a little bit when you threw in the Villains United one shot and the
very weird
and the OMAC project one shot, which you need to wrap up. But I wish they had, and it makes sense to put them between issues 6 and 7. But when you end with a page like this, you're ready for some redemption, right? Or you're ready for some ramifications. You're ready for some ass kicking. But instead, it slows the pace down. Not that there's anything wrong with those one-shots, because those literally wrapped up the storylines and set up the new Checkmate and Secret Six, Checkmate ongoing series and Secret Six miniseries.
It's so weird, though.
So that leads us to, by the way, one of the greatest Jim Lee covers ever, with all the Green Lantern Corps just striking at Superboy Prime. Oh, I love that. So yeah, this is the big fight. This is it. This is what it all comes down to. How are they going to win? What's going to happen? You have all the villains down, oh my God, just feel Jimenez just, throwbacks to a lot of George Perez, but so much action just happening in just these gigantic splash pages. Good Lord. And then, you have the fight, right? The
Mm-hmm.
fight between after they take Superboy Prime to space, you have Superman from Earth 2 and our Superman fighting Superboy Prime. In the meantime, here on Earth, Batman and Wonder Woman are fighting everybody off, and Alexander Luthor's, trying to get away. Um, After critically injuring Nightwing, Batman snaps, right, and he's holding a gun, and you're like, oh shit, Batman! It's like, I don't know, it's like watching the Doctor from Doctor Who hold a gun. He means business when Batman's holding a gun, and the person that tells him to stop is Wonder Woman. She's like, it's not worth it. And he throws the gun down. He's like, I know, damn it. And then Alexander Luthor's like, no, you're not better than me. This doesn't change anything. Oh. And then you get the beatdown. Oh my God, these fabulous pages. By the way, some of these are George Perez, some are Jerry Ordway, and of course Phil Jimenez. Just this fight where Superboy Prime is just not holding back. He literally kills Earth 2 Superman, like the first DC big superhero, Golden Age Superman. And I love the speech that our Superman gives him about you'll never be a Superman, because you don't know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, it's not about where you're from. It's not about what you wear or what powers you have. Because the whole time, Superboy Prime's like, this is my destiny. I'm from a better Krypton. I am stronger. I am a lot better than any of you. He's just like, shut up. He's like, it's about what you do. Oh man, I love it. And he's like, it's about action. Harkening back to Action Comics, cheesy as that may be, that hits me.
No, but I love that, and that's what comics should be, though, and that's what DC should be. I think when you see moments like that, it makes you sad when you think about like other representations like that. This is Superman. This is what Superman is. Superman at heart is just Clark Kent. And the only reason he did the other stuff is because he's like, well, I've got the powers. I have to do this. He's not like Superboy Prime, who's like, this is my calling. I'm meant to be this. This is my right. This is my birthright. And Superman's like, listen, if I didn't have to, I wouldn't. And Connor is similar too.
Right. Oh man. And then, the death of the Golden Age Superman with a nice little Lois and Superman moment there from the Golden Age. Love that. Then you have the new status quo. What's everybody doing? Oh my God. And the Joker being left out of it was the biggest mistake that Alexander Luthor could have done. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I love
fitting way to go.
Our Lex Luthor there, who's stupid now. Right. Because that's what Alexander Luthor thought he was. He was the smartest Lex Luthor, that he's the one that needs to represent the Luthor line. Gone. Then the heroes take a break. And I remember, by the way, if you were getting the comic books, you know that this splash page was different. That this is a different splash page than the one that came out in the single issues. Because there were characters that never appeared, such as, I don't think they even have him on here, but there was like a white wizard without a beard that had the Captain Marvel outfit on. And you were like, oh shit, is that Shazam as Captain Marvel? So there were all these things, but they never did anything with the characters. So there's a few other characters that showed up that, this was redrawn by Jerry. I believe this is Jerry Ordway or Phil Jimenez. Oh no, George Perez. So I love that line too. They're like, we're leaving everything in good hands.
Yeah.
And that's where, oh man. No. But then we got to talk about the creepy epilogue of how fucking nuts this guy is. Where he's like, oh, you can keep me in here, but I've gotten out of like bigger places. Oh shit. And that's when you're like, oh God, I can't wait. Like I remember I was like, I can't wait for this little fucker to show back up again. And he does in another big event. I can't tell you. I can't tell you because I want to read it and I want you to be like, oh shit, he's back.
Okay. Well, then I'll just be expecting it. If there's a big event, I'm just going to assume he's coming back in it.
In every event? Oh, I'll throw you off.
That asked if I was surprised when the other with the switch with the Luthors and stuff. I was like, well, not really. I think I like this trend of bringing back key characters and crisis stuff, crisis events in DC. I think that's really neat. I hope that the main players are always a part of this because it's fun.
Drew B, I do have a man crush on Superboy Prime in a fucked up way. Like I mentioned earlier, I just love characters like that are way overpowered and just don't know how to control it. I think they make for really good villains. Um, so everything from here goes into 52, right? So that was a really cool idea. Man, they were really experimenting with a lot of things at DC during this time. They were doing the 4 minis that led up to the one big uh, epic event here that we just read, Infinite Crisis. And then afterwards, they were like, "Hey, let's release a weekly book. We'll call it 52, and every week it'll be week 1, week 2, because every book jumped a year. So you had Teen Titans, you had Superman, you
Yeah,
had Catwoman.
Outsiders.
Catwoman wasn't even Selena Kyle. She was what's her name, Holly, for a while, and you're like, how did this happen? And then 52 was supposed to plug in those holes of like, wait, but then along the way, each of the writers kind of just want to start doing their own thing, and they kind of lost focus about what that comic book was supposed to be about. But still a great series.
Yeah, I would like to read it because I was reading a few different series that like had that year jump. I didn't know why why that happened
Oh,
or
yeah.
what happened even, and so I was very confused. I mean, especially with Outsiders, because Outsiders is going so great, and then it had that weird year skip, and then I was just
Yeah, this is what
crazy
happened.
confused because nobody was there anymore. I was like, oh, okay.
Some of the series were never the same, and I hate to say, I love Jeff Johns' Teen Titans, and I love Teen Titans East, which was 1 year later, but it was such a different tone because
Oh,
you had
absolutely.
Art was gone, Superboy Prime was gone, and then Robin is dealing with the fact that his best friend is gone, and he feels guilty because he's also with his best friend's girl.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, there's a lot of things that happen. Now, let's talk about this. Since we've read the whole thing, the omnibus, the minis leading up to this, what would you give the entire event?
I don't know, like a 9 or 10 out of 10 if I had
So
to rate it. I think it's
9.5?
really good. I think it's worth reading again. I think it's a perfect example of a major cross series event.
I'm going to stick with my 10 out of 10. To me, I think this is as good as it gets as far as a crossover event.
Yeah.
You had a bunch of minor characters. You had a bunch of just badass action sequences. You had a lot of memorable lines and memorable moments. Like to me, that's what an epic event is, right? Like, I love seeing action, but not action for the sake of action, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want it
Agreed.
to be something happening, why these things are happening. Oh, man. It was just such a great story.
Man, in
10
a
out of 10.
perfect world where the DC universe had a good movie run the same way Marvel does, I feel like this would be the event as a movie. Like this would be the event if DC was able to have the same quality of movies.
Everything leading up to this, that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
I kept thinking about it, like, that's what I want. This is what I wish I could have.
I guess that's what you kind of may get with the TV shows, maybe. But I don't know.
Yeah, next year we do get next year's Crisis on Infinite Earths, I think.
Yeah.
With the DC shows, which I'll be happy with still. They do a good job at crossovers. It's just it's not like this.
So in the chat, if you have read this or if you watch this later and want to comment, what would you rate this book out of 10? You got a 9.5 from Maddie, leaning more towards a 10. And you have a 10 out of 10 from me because I think this is as good as it got. Now I'm going to take it. So while people are thinking about that, I think somebody was saying that it retconned a lot of things. It retconned Mon-El. It retconned year 2. Yeah, y'all know how I feel about year 2, even though I know it's not the greatest story, but it retconned year 2. That's my boy Make Havoc. 10 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Yeah, 52 was great, Smotlock. I think 1 year later, some of them were hits, some of them were misses. A lot of the series never really got back to the greatness that they were, which kind of sucked. But um, yeah, I wish Phil Jimenez had done the whole thing. Smotluck said he gives it an 8 because of the art changes, but I don't think he was just. I mean, the amount of detail that he puts into each panel, I think he was trying to outdo George Perez's Crisis on Infinite Earths, and this was only 7 issue, and that was 12. So I don't know. Oh, thanks, Kyle Davis. Much love back to you, all the way to Cape Cod from Kentucky, where Smotlock is residing as well. 800 out of 10. Yes. 7 out of 10. Blackest Night is still the best DC event. We'll get there.
I love Blackest Night.
We'll get there.
I want to reread it for the show.
I want to read it too. Maybe we'll invite Jess for that one because I don't think he's read that yet.
I want to invite Kristen on a DC event too because
is she a big DC or has she not read a lot?
And so I want her to be.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, you can
she
pick
also
out
doesn't like Superman, and I feel like it's my job to show her that she's wrong.
There are some really good Superman stories. We've read some. We read. Did we read For All Seasons? We did read For All Seasons, didn't we? I like that one. All-Star Superman is solid. You're never late to the chat. Amazing Light. Nobody's ever late to the chat. You arrive just when you are supposed to. Will we do Final Crisis? Yeah, eventually. That will be my 4th read-through. I hope I understand it this time.
I think it's tradition now. At least we should at least be reading one DC Crisis event a year.
Oh, I'm down with that. All right, Kristen says she's in. She could be wrong. Doug McAdams, 10 out of 10. Oh, yes. And every time I go back and read this, I find something else, whether it's in the art or whether it's in the dialogue. It's just such an awesome, epic event. And it's hard to top something like this when it was planned for so many years in advance, too. So,
Matthew hasn't read this, but it gave my hair a 10 out of 10. So,
well, okay.
Thank you.
We'll take it.
That is the correct rating.
10 out of 10. My goodness. Thank you, Nocturne. Thank you. It is looking pretty fly. Let's see. Omar.
Sledge, you've got to read. Okay, so Sledge said he dropped out of DC after New 52, except for the Green Lantern stuff. Oh no, you got to read Rebirth. I mean, there's some things happening recently that aren't great, but man, Rebirth started out.
Oh yeah,
wrong.
I did agree with him though. The Bat Dick and Damian duo ended way too soon. I wish they had gone longer with them. I really liked Dick Grayson as Batman, and Grant Morrison's Batman and Robin was so solid.
So where's a good place to? So finishing this for people who have read this and want to like, what's the best next thing to go to after finishing this behemoth? 52?
Like, logically, it's the 52 omnibus. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, seriously, it's solid. You're introduced to Batwoman. You'll get to love or hate Booster Gold. You
do have 52.
Yes, I know you.
I don't have the omnibus. I have the
2 trades that make up the Omni, right?
Yeah.
Now, very important. I hate that they didn't do this. Within the last few weeks, they had this crossover event called World War III. That is, I thought, very important to read in between weeks. I want to say weeks 48 and 49.
Okay.
Because it's nothing but a huge fight with Black Adam. And it's so freaking good. But we also have Greg Rucka's ongoing story in 52 with the question and there are really cool moments in 52 that happen.
I'm excited to read it. I didn't realize. I forgot I had it. I bought it because Booster's on the cover.
Oh yes, because he plays a big role.
Yeah, I'll read anything for Booster.
McFarlane by Michelini and McFarlane Michelini Spider-Man's logical next step. Oh yeah, we need to do that. That introduces Venom. That would be a great read. So speaking of reads, Maddie, it's your birthday a couple weeks ago. Or was it last week? Was last week? I can't remember. Yeah, last week was your
Yeah,
birthday.
last week. Yeah.
What do you want to read for next week? Because you were supposed to pick for last week.
Yeah,
But
I just feel bad because it's gotten pushed back a lot. So
no, it's okay. Whatever you want to read? It's your birthday. Nobody can say anything, and then the rest of the year belongs to me. I can pick every single.
No.
Damn it! Almost got it.
I really want to read.
Sledge. We did Craven's Last Hunt like a month ago, I think.
Recently.
Oh man, Transmetropolitan. Transmetropolitan. I think my wife Melanie wants in on the Sandman stuff because she loves Sandman.
I would really like to read Sandman. I mean, that's not my birthday pick, but like.
No. It's your birthday pick.
Yeah, I do want to read Sandman, and I want to read Animal Man really bad.
Ooh, good choice. The Grant Morrison, because Jeff Lemire's run's coming out soon.
I want to read Animal Man. I want to read Starman.
Oh yes. Now you're speaking my language.
I didn't realize till I read this book, but I saw Manhunter, and I really wanted to read about her sometime too.
Yes. Mark Andreikos Manhunter. Solid.
But I've been waiting to read these two books for so long. I just want to read these two books. I put it off until we read Infinite Crisis.
Okay, keep holding those up and let me show you something about how much I love those books. And tell me why. Could tell the audience why you want to read those books.
Because I love Booster Gold so much more than anything. I fell in with Booster Gold after watching, I don't remember even from what, if it was Justice League Action or something else, but I've been dying to read these two. And I even have the pop figures also. And I cosplayed Blue Beetle.
Now she loves Booster Gold, but I do too. I love him so much I custom bound.
Oh my god.
Oh wait for it.
No.
Look at the spine. No. So it has his stories from 52 in here, and then the ongoing Blue and Gold storyline. So yes, I mean, if you want to do Booster Gold, it is your birthday, and we can do.
They're so beautiful. I'm so jealous. I could cry.
Don't cry.
Yeah.
It's Booster Gold.
I heard that these two are really good. I haven't bought the rest of the volumes yet.
Well, those are the ones that are written by Jeff Johns. So yeah. He knew what to do with the characters. Oh yeah, those are awesome. But yes, Booster. It's a series that I know DC doesn't give a shit about. Maybe I don't know. Maybe one day they will. But
I wish that they would. I mean, we're bringing Booster back more lately, which is good. Although I didn't appreciate his treatment Heroes in Crisis, even though he looked beautiful, because Clayman can really draw a man. But
oh yeah, he draws pretty guys all the time.
Women, I'm on the fence about how he draws women, but I just feel like, man, Booster is such a great character. Like, he's so funny. He deserves his own movie. He deserves everything.
What is up, Cycle Cleveland? This is just a quick reminder to everybody in the chat to smash that like button, please. It helps the channel. It helps the video. And thank you. I think 52 pickup. Like, this happens, I want to say a little bit after the new the 52 miniseries started, because things transpire within the 52 pages that you're like, damn, what's gonna happen to Booster Gold? So,
we got asked if we could do manga. So we've done one manga book so far. I'm down to do manga. I can read it really fast.
We will do all 40 volumes of Berserk.
I would do it for you.
You would? All 40? How about, you know what? How about this? How about let's schedule some manga. Let's go ahead and do some Berserk.
Yeah, if we schedule ahead of time. I'd like to read
13 volumes of Berserk, because you won't want to stop.
And maybe we can do like a manga series like once a quarter. You know what I mean?
I like that idea. What is Asterios Polyp? Aesthetic. All right, Cycle Cleveland. I'm googling this. You better not give me a damn virus. What the hell is this?
Oh, Poon Poon. I'd love to read Poon Poon. Oh, Freddie, Matthew, listen. Don't come in this chat acting like I haven't read all of One Piece. Come on.
Are y'all crazy? She has watched and read all of One Piece.
Come on. Battle Royale. I love Battle Royale. I would really like to read 20th Century Boys. I've only seen the live action movie. I haven't read the books. So that'd be nice. Okay. Or like Vinland Saga or Vagabond or one of those other manga series everybody talks about.
Everybody. Okay, so you got me curious. I looked up this book, Asterios Polyp. I'm not going to butcher this dude's name. It's the guy that drew Born Again, David, and the guy, or the Year One, David Mazzucchelli. Oh, God. Was that racist? That was racist. How do you say it, Cycle Cleveland? Because I don't know how to say this dude's name. I swear you do this shit to me so I can go and pick somebody's name that I can't say. Battle Royale is solid, but man, it will make you feel dirty, just like Berserk, in a good and fucked up way. Vagabond, it's not finished yet. I wish it was finished. I would love to do Blade of the Immortal one day. I think Blade of the Immortal is one of the best samurai books. Up there, to me, with Lone Wolf and Cub, but his artwork is just so phenomenal. All right, so for next week, are we for sure? Shut up, Sledge. Mazzucchelli? Okay, so Mazzucchelli. Did I say that? No, I didn't. I totally butchered that man's name. So how about next week? You want to do Booster Gold?
Yes.
Booster Gold. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Booster Gold for July 16th. Tuesday, July 16th, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Join us here again for 52 Pickup Booster Gold, which I think is the first 12 issues. That's what you want to read?
Yeah, 52 Pickup and Blue and Gold, yeah.
Do I think Blade of the Immortal is better than Vagabond? Yes, for right now. Because I love the way that it ended, and Vagabond hasn't ended, right? So if Vagabond ends crappy, it means it's not as good. So Blade of the Immortal is finished. It all depends on that ending, right? The ending is what really... Come on, Game of Thrones.
Especially for a lot of manga series, too. You know, I think there's a lot of series where the ending just wasn't good enough and it kind of ruined your whole experience. I feel that way about Erased.
Oh, well, I was thinking of TV shows like Game of Thrones. Like, seriously, like Game of Thrones, the ending ruined a lot. Like, that show was everybody's favorite show, and then all of a sudden, you know, fuck this show. Yeah. But I don't know how they... I'm loving Vagabond. I don't know how he can fuck it up. So far, yes, that would probably be better. I still think Lone Wolf and Cub is better than both Vagabond and Blade of the Immortal, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm just a dude. Now, where would I put Usagi Yojimbo, though? See, that's hard, too, because it hasn't ended.
I'd like to throw some different genres in there, too. Like some... I know there's some manga series I think people don't talk about. There's always the big ones, right? But, like, some slice of life series or something would be really good, too.
I try to do some things on the show that is accessible to everybody, right? Because I could be like, oh God, we need to read Sanctuary, but that shit's out of print and expensive. But it is one of my favorite manga, and I don't want everybody to go out and pay $80 for a volume 3 of something that they may not enjoy. I want everybody to join in and be like, yeah, I read that. So
let me do some research too and see what's easily available digitally, because now like Shonen Jump's library is all available too. Like I subscribe monthly to that so I can read through their stuff. Although there's a lot of unfinished series there.
Yeah?
But
yeah, they've done a lot of unfinished series here. Like it breaks my heart when they stop a series. Like Bastard. I need to do a video on manga that needs to continue here in America, because I know it's finished in Japan. But they're cock teasing us here in America, but only giving us like half the volumes.
Or when they reprint special editions of things that don't get finished, right? Like Kurosaki Corpse Delivery Service.
Oh, yeah, well...
Which, I mean, I waited to finally have my hands on. Like, oh, good, they're re-releasing it. And then...
Well, I mean, a lot of the problem is, too, is that some of these companies hold the rights to them. So, for example, Viz still owns the right to Pineapple Army. One of my favorite manga that I only read God, 20 years ago or so. But it's the same guy that did Monster and 20th Century Boys.
Yeah,
It was like
Naoki
one of his
Urasawa.
earliest. Yes, nerd. Um, it's his like early manga, but they still own the rights to it. They've only released one volume. Same thing with Dark Horse and what you just said. The
Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service.
thank you. I have the omnibuses, but they stopped. Or Eden. They stopped at like volume 14. We don't have 15, 16, 17, and 18. We just need those 4 volumes to finish it out. So.
Yeah, and that's what I always wanted to finish. But I never will, I guess. So
You're already getting off topic.
sorry.
Yeah, this is half of the show is on topic. The other half of the show is,
At the end, we just chat about what we want to read in the future.
yeah, but it does get our, gears turning up here going, oh, okay, cool. Let's, yeah, I've got that. Susmita. I hope I'm saying your name right. I've got the fan translations because I got tired of waiting. It's really nice printed fan translations too that are out there. But okay, so Booster Gold, and then we have I think 2 more. That's the 16th, and then we got the 23rd and 30th.
Yeah, so we'll do something.
Yeah,
not
okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and say for the 23rd, let's do Secret Wars, the original Secret Wars.
Okay.
It's a 12-issue event, Marvel, and I want to know what you think because it was originally written to sell toys. So I'm curious to know what it was pretty much like after Contest of Champions. It really was the big first Marvel event. And then on the 30th, we can do something else. We'll see when the Authority comes out. I'd love to do the Authority with you. We have an omnibus coming out of that, and maybe we can do that. But so next Tuesday again, July 16th, we're doing Booster Gold, the first 12 issues of his 52 pickup. And then on the 23rd, we are doing Secret Wars, the original Marvel Secret Wars. So we hope you all join us for that. Thanks, Freddie. I'm going to watch the cartoon instead of reading that. Is the Authority good? Yeah, it's solid. It's the remains of Stormwatch, but I think it's set the bar for what I like to call the widescreen sort of artwork that Image started, but Brian Hitch perfected in the Authority, and then he carried on over to the Ultimates. So, oh man, that's a classic, Carl. The Silver Surfer, the Parable. They just got a new printing in a little oversized book. It's written by Stan Lee and drawn by Mobius. I think Smotlock, spoilers. I think Planetary is probably my favorite. I don't know. Transmetropolitan's solid too, but I think I'm gonna stick with Planetary. Planetary, Next Wave, and Transmetropolitan. I think those are my favorite Warren Ellis works. But God, he's written so much. Anything else, Maddie, before we sign off, or any more questions in the chat? If you all have suggestions for books we should read, please leave those comments down below if you're not joining us live.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I've got.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, all you Minties, for joining us. Don't forget to check out our channel, subscribe, like. I always suck at doing this.
Check out our social media pages. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at NearMintCon. So you're always welcome to engage with us there. And I'll try to I never do the sign-offs. This is going to be very weird. Okay, let's see if I do it okay. And remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be Near Mint. See you guys next week.